All right. Hello, my name is Clay Canfield. I'm the founder of Sobriety Hub software for sober livings. I'm here with my good friend, Nick Connor. Nick is the founder and operator of Safe House Sober Livings down in Delray Beach. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm good, Clay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for jumping on with me. I was reading a bit about kind of your founding story, and I know you started in 2021, inspired by the loss of your friend. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia. Um, I struggled with addiction for a long time. I was in and out of treatment. I couldn't get out of my own way. And this time when I got sober, I came back to Florida for the 20th time, and it was like 3 or 4 days into treatment. I lost my best friend that I grew up with. He was my brother. We did everything together, sports together. First time I did an opiate together, anything like that, we did together. And he overdosed when I was in treatment, and it crushed me. The thing that bothered me the most was that when I was in treatment, my mom called me and told me that I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. Um, and it really like set in, and everything was real for me. The reason I opened the recovery house and named it after him is because a lot of people lose their battle to addiction, and to see his mother and his family go through that pain, it didn't sit right with me, and it still doesn't. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that should be here that aren't here because of addiction, and the main thing is like one bad decision, and that's it. You know what I mean? Ned was a great kid. He was an athlete. He has a son. He was a great father, and it crushed me inside. And so when I got the first house, that was like my main thing is I wanted to dedicate it to Ned, and keep his name alive the best way I could. And when I opened the first house, it was stressful. I didn't really know exactly what to do. I was in plenty of recovery houses, and the thing that I seen that was lacking down here, and most places, is love in a recovery house. Like me myself, I can say that all I ever wanted was to be loved and accepted, you know? So when I opened the first house, it was tough in the beginning because you got people coming from all different areas, and you're trying to set um boundaries and structure and things like that. And every time I walked in the house, though, his picture was on the wall, real big, and it's called Ned's house. And it just shined on me. You know what I mean? And then I had 2 years sober, and I was working in a treatment center, and the treatment center told me I had to go pick up somebody from Philly from the airport. And I pulled up to the airport, and it was my mom, my little brother, his girlfriend, Ned's mom, and Ned's dad. And
Wow.
I get emotional like talking about it, but to see to see a mother's face like a little bit happy, you know what I mean? Because her son's name is kept alive, and
Mhm.
I try to do everything and always remember Ned. Um, it was something that I've never experienced before, So by that time, I think I had another house. It was a second house, and I just kept the ball rolling. You know what I mean? Like I would get the house. The house would be filled. It would be structured, and then boom, I would open another one and do the same thing. Remember somebody that was lost their battle from addiction, and most of them were my very close friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely tragic. I'm sure that Ned is, very happy that his legacy is living on and kind of seems
In
like
a
your
in a good way.
inspiration.
In a in a good way. You know what I mean? And like Delray and Boynton Beach, it's kind of like a small town, sort of. And it's cool for like to hear like, oh, what house are you? Where do you live? Safe house? Oh, Ned's house. Oh, you're at Ned's house. It's like, you know what I mean? It brings a smile to my face that his name and he's still being remembered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Definitely a great consistent mission when, your purpose is driven by, somebody who wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
That's that's awesome. I know that. So you started with Ned's house. Today you've got 6 houses,
6 houses.
55
Yeah.
beds, all dedicated to individuals who were lost from the disease. You grew super rapidly. How were you able to achieve that growth without, compromising quality of care?
So I gave up everything, and not everything in my life. I made it my main priority. You know what I mean? Like if you want to get into this recovery house or like helping people and things like that, you got to give up everything. You know what I mean? You got to sacrifice your life for somebody else's life. And I got addicted to that. I got addicted to, you know what? I
Mm.
ain't going out on Friday night. I'm going bowling with Ned's house or John's house or McQuaid's house, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I sacrificed my personal life for to build something that is continuing to help people. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
always every house I have has a manager and an assistant manager, and then there's a general manager that keeps up on all the managers, and then me. I go to every house every day.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely a servant out there grinding, and that's definitely one of the things we experience, right? Is the new source of fulfillment and joy becomes, being useful as opposed to
Yep.
more self-centered pleasures. Um,
Yep.
so I want to know, you mentioned bowling. I want to hear a little bit more about kind of what makes your program unique. I know you offer a lot of activities. What are some of those and other services that Safe House is known for?
So I'll give you the rundown of like moving in.
Okay,
So you come from treatment or wherever you come from, you do an intake packet. You sit with me. I make sure I meet every person when they come in the door. Um,
cool.
just to let them know, like I'm not just a backseat guy that comes around and collects rent on Friday. You know what I mean? The things we offer, it's mainly so you have to go to 3 to 5 meetings a week. You have to get a sponsor. You have to be actively working a program. Now, with 55 beds, I've came to the realization that there is absolutely no way I can keep track of 55 guys. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
40 something guys, and the other house is a girl's house. But I put people in place that keep up on that, and it keeps them sober too. You know what I mean? Like the managers and the assistant managers and the general manager. Like there's always somebody that's doing the right thing, leading the pack. You know?
Yeah. Where do
So
you
it's
find? Oh, go ahead.
good. Now you God, where do I find what?
Where do you find quality house managers? I know that it's notoriously a job that's got a lot of turnover and it's hard to find good people.
Yeah.
How do you get good guys for that?
So my experience with the house managers and the assistant managers, it's tough. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I ask you to be a house manager, I let you know right away, like, listen, do not let this interfere with your recovery. You're number one. You know what I mean? If it's too much for you, if you're getting complacent or not being on top of stuff, you have to let me know. It's not that you failed, it's just you maybe not you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? But my experience with the house managers may be different than some other people, but that have houses and things like that. So I'll pick a guy that is like the most recent manager. I know him. I grew up with him. Struggled for a long time, like me, in and out of jail. He's got 63 days sober, and he's a manager. Sometimes what I've seen is somebody that doesn't have anything or has never been like I don't want to say leader, but like no I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but if you give somebody something and they now they feel like it's like getting a key to your house. Wow, I
Responsibility.
have it. Responsibility, and they can either run with it and do great, or they don't, and then it goes to the next guy that's willing to help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's like how it goes. So the one guy that I did it with, the one I grew up with, he's killing it. You know what I mean? He's bringing guys to meetings. He's at meetings all the time. He's helping people. He's getting people jobs and things like that. So it's in the house is the number one rule is obviously no drinking, using, kratom, any weird shit like that. But you have to, you have to show love. You know what I mean? And it sounds corny. I thought it sounded corny when a man or somebody like that like says, like, I just want to be loved, or so. That's what every addict and alcoholic wants. They just want to be loved, you know? So there's zero tolerance for any type of bullying in any of the houses. You don't make somebody feel uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable coming, getting sober, moving in a house with guys that you have no idea who they are. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird.
So we we do something at Safe House. It's called a pull up. Um, so like you'll use you for example. So Clay, you're not doing your chores, or you've been slacking on meetings. We're not going to throw you out to the street because you didn't make your 3 to 5 meetings. You know what I mean? It's going to be a pull up. Yo, Clay, listen, you haven't been going to meetings, you haven't been doing your chores, nothing. Let's go to a meeting. Now, when I say that to you, I am now locked into going to that meeting with you. It's not like I could just say, Clay, you got to go to a meeting and me not go. You have to go too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like building character and friends. There's a lot of friends made in these places. Some of the best times of my life I had in recovery houses, talking shit, and you know what I mean? But doing the right thing. There is fun in sobriety, and it's something that took me a very long time to understand. Like, I can do stuff sober better than I can high. You know what I mean? That's the sick thinking of when Nick's high, I think I can do all this stuff and get a lot more done, but really I just run around in circles and get nothing done. You know?
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like when you genuinely help somebody from the heart, it's a feeling that I've never experienced before, and it's something that drives me every day. You know, when you get out, when you do something for somebody else, when you have something to do, or you don't really want to do it, it's never it's never a bad outcome. You know what I mean? The drive home is always a good drive home. If I did something, I helped this person, I did this, I did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it sounds like with the pull up, you're kind of trying to give the residents an opportunity to experience that service and peer-to-peer accountability themselves
Yep,
so that they can get,
absolutely.
a taste of the solution.
They can get exactly. And
That's
I'm not the
awesome.
founder of that. I found it on a TikTok, and I just pulled it and implemented it into Safe House.
Well, I mean, that's great. That's what we're trying to do here, right? Spread resources,
Yeah,
spread
yeah,
knowledge.
that's it. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you're a very energetic and innovative guy. We've had a lot of fun talks on the phone about big ideas that you have for your
Yeah.
program and programs all around the country. You mentioned to me like creating a hotline, possibly like for
Uh-huh.
your residents, which seems like a cool idea. Could you tell me more about that and any other kind of big ideas you've got?
Yeah. So I was thinking about it for a while, and it's a lot of times when men or women get sober, and it's the hardest thing to do is pick up that phone and call a sponsor when you're struggling. If you want to get high, you hate where you live, you don't like your roommate, you know what I mean? Shit's not going the way you plan. I thought about creating like a hotline to where you don't know who's on the other line. It could be a girl that answers, it could be a guy that answers, just a helpline. And it could get passed around to the house manager at Ned's house or John's house or whatever house. And it's your job to answer that phone and just give that person on the phone 3 minutes of your time. Could be, sometimes it could be 3 hours, but you just have that responsibility of picking up and being there. You know what I mean? Because it does something for us, for addicts and alcoholics, when you're able to give somebody that ear and give somebody that time, and it gets you out of your head. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it could be not just for Safe House either. It could just be a hotline of you're struggling and you don't know who's on that other line. So it doesn't matter. It's going to make it less uncomfortable for you. You know what I mean? It's just to pick that phone up. And because again, man, a lot of people lose their battle to addiction because they didn't pick up that phone, or they didn't tell their sponsor or their buddy that they thought about getting high the last 3 mornings. You know what I mean? That's the stuff that takes you out, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you don't come back. You know, it's the world is not the same. And I think about it all the time, like with Ned. He's on my mind every day. His ashes are in my car. If I go, like 2 weekends ago, I went to like this underground UFC fight, and there was no like tickets to say where you sit or anything like that. And I constantly get signs from him. And I sat down in the seat and I looked at the seat number, and it was 11. 11 was Ned's number. I was 22, Ned was 11. And it was just like, damn, you know what I mean? I'm right where I need to be, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that phone, it gives you the privilege and the opportunity to not pick up that first one that that is probably going to be your last one. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of good people die from drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
any idea to me to help somebody is a good idea. If it can help somebody, I'm willing to try it, do it, help somebody, do it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think the really cool thing about that solution and kind of the theme of what you do, it seems to me, at least at Safe House, is you've got the two sides of that situation where you've got the resident calling for help, obviously super helpful to them. But then you have the person who's answering the phone. Could be another resident, right? Who's just a little further down the line,
Yeah.
who's, getting that sense of responsibility, getting, that commitment to a job. And most importantly, right, practicing, sharing their own love and strengthening their recovery. So I don't know. That just kind of seems like the theme of, a lot of what you've been doing, and something that's helped you kind of be successful, both in terms of growing your business and also just,
Yeah.
improving resident outcomes.
Uh-huh.
Um, so Nick, in addition to, having a strong mission, based off your friend Ned and others who we've lost to this disease, obviously that's kind of a superpower in terms of a motivator for, being successful and growing. But like, just on the very like practical side, what kind of tips and resources have you leveraged to help kind of expand your business? Is there anything that you wish you knew when you were starting out that you know now?
That the pain of losing people and relapse doesn't get any better. You know what I mean?
Mm,
That's the only thing that like I mean, it's all trial and error. You know, I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. When I got the third house or the fourth house, I had to start really implementing people in the situations to where when I had one house, I I was two steps ahead of everybody in the house. You know what I mean? Like I knew what was going on. I knew every person and what they were doing. And if they went to a meeting, if they didn't go to a meeting, the second house, same thing. I plugged myself in the house. Whenever I opened a new house, I made sure that that house I implemented exactly what was going on at the other house. You know what I mean? So I mean, to see like what I wish I would have known. I mean, nothing really, nothing. The joy of helping people is greater than what I thought. Honestly, you gotta sacrifice. You know what I mean? You got to sacrifice, and you really got to do this for the right reason. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Very cool. And then kind of last question, shameless plug here. I know you've been using Sobriety Hub for a little while. We pride ourselves on basically being a helpful tool to helpers like yourself. Could you just talk a little bit about, how you've leveraged the platform and what you've gotten out of it so far?
So I've got a lot of calls, and I've thought about like creating a app and things like Sobriety Hub before, because it's needed, and I'm not the brightest bulb in the box by far. Um I don't really do emails. I don't, like I have a notebook and write everything down in the notebook. And with FAR and things like that in Florida, you have to follow their guidelines. And with like intakes and things like that, you the guys in the house fill out the intake packet. But what Sobriety Hub does and benefits a recovery house or program is everything's in my phone. You know what I mean? So they do the intake in the packet, and I ask them the questions on Sobriety Hub that helps me. Um, if there's an emergency, I don't have to run to the house and get their packet and go through their packet. And even with like a bedboard sheet, like I know exactly how many people are going or in that house. Before it was three whiteboards in my living room that said this house, that, you know what I mean? All set
Yeah.
up. Like it gives it structure. And like it's a privilege to be able to put like a house manager on there that can write little notes and things like that. It's very beneficial, and it's helped me. I'm on it every day, nonstop. You can move people, you could do your rent log on there. Um, if you have a sober living, I would highly recommend that you get Sobriety Hub or something like that. And I've tried other ones before, and Sobriety Hub is the easiest for not the brightest bulb in the box like me to figure out and navigate. And it's very helpful. It's very, very helpful, because
Thank
it's
you,
a lot.
Nick.
It's a lot. If you have sober living, and you're doing it for the right reasons, and you got to stay on top of stuff like that. You can't not have that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely one thing we've noticed is, with the owners who are super motivated to keep good records and, really know what's going on, they're generally more interested in, a platform like Sobriety Hub versus, the
Yeah.
hands-off owner is just they're like what you mentioned at the beginning, they want to pick up checks on Friday and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, well, very cool. Is there anything you would like to say to the viewers before we wrap it up? Spread love.
Um, yeah, I could spread some love. I'm just very, very grateful that I was able to open up Safe House and create an environment that is safe and shows love and things like that. And like I said, man, that the Ned thing really, it really hits spot for me. And I talk to his mom all the time now. And
Hmm.
a couple weeks ago, it was his son's 11th birthday, the number 11 again. And he was able to come down here, and I hung out with him for a couple days, and we went out on a little boat and things like that. And like that's the that's the gifts you have to wait for in sobriety. You know what I mean? Like I was a crackhead and a heroin addict for fucking 10 years. And my problem is I always thought that shit should come back quick. You know what I mean? I should be able to do this. Why not me? Why not me? Poor me. Why's Timmy get to drive a BMW and I don't even have a car? You know what I mean? So advice or anything like that is if you're just getting sober, you got to wait. It sounds corny. Wait for the miracle to happen. You got to grind it out. Nobody's going to hand anything to you. It's not it's not easy. You got to grind. You know what I mean? And I'm very grateful for my mother and a few other people that never gave up on me and taught me what genuine and pure love is, and selflessness and things like that. And it's been a journey, but it's been a good one. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
Absolutely. So keep grinding it out. Um, Sometimes that's, when you're early on, sometimes that's multiple years in, right? In
yeah.
recovery, in, life, so
Mhm.
thank you for spreading that message. And thank you so much for jumping on, Nick. Really appreciate it. And yeah, again, this Nick Connor, Safe House Sober Livings down in Delray Beach. He's the man. He's got one of the fastest growing sober livings that I've ever heard of. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today, Nick. Thank you.
All right, Clay. Thank you.
All right.
I'll see you later, buddy.
All right.